And I, Abraham, had the Urim and Thummim, which the Lord my God had given unto me. And I saw the stars, that they were very great, and that one of them was nearest unto the throne of God. And there were many great ones which were near unto it. And the Lord said unto me, These are the governing ones, and the name of the great one is Kolob, because it is near unto me. For I am the Lord thy God. I have set this one to govern all those which belong to the same order as that upon which thou standest. The Lord said unto me, by the Urim and Thummim, that Kolob was after the manner of the Lord, according to its times and seasons, and the revolutions thereof. That one revolution was a day unto the Lord, after his manner of reckoning, it being 1,000 years according to the time appointed unto that whereon thou standest. This is the reckoning of the Lord's time, according to the reckoning of Kolob.
All right, welcome to Starbase Kolob, where we explore the final frontier and the questions that go beyond it. Each episode, we dive into the mysteries of the cosmos, the wonders of God's plan, and the timeless search for knowledge and meaning. Whether it's black holes, deep doctrine, or defending the faith, we're here to connect the stars in the sky with the thoughts in your mind and the feelings in your hearts. Let's launch into discovery together. Yeah.
Amen.
Welcome, Geoff. Welcome back.
Yeah. Good to be here.
Yeah. We're doing things a little different today. This will be our Halloween episode. So we're not going to have our Monday morning misconception madness segment. But yeah, we're going to kind of just get right into it. This time around, we're going to do spooky stories from our missions.
Ooh, spooky. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, since it's spooky season, I had a lot of kind of crazy things happen on my mission. So, and I think you did too.
Yeah, I think I'm going to include some more recent spooky stories as well, just because. Some on my mission, but I think there's some good ones just outside of it too.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, so first thing before we get into, before we do anything, disclaimer for our podcast. We are not representatives of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We have our own thoughts, and anything we say is just our own thoughts and ideas. Mm-hmm. So, yep. Take it as you will. But yeah, we first want to start off today with kind of talking about maybe what we believe a spirit is.
Kind of what our thoughts are on the spirit world and like what the church has said and what prophets in the past have said in relation to it, because that's where most of the spooky stuff is kind of connected to.
Yeah Like a lot, our stories can be pretty scary, but like ultimately we have power over bad spirits, like it says in the temple, Satan can bruise our heel, but we have the power to crush his head, type thing. And so we believe that. Really, the only time things get dangerous is really when you're inviting evil spirits.
Inviting and just not living in a way to, I guess, have
discernment over them.
Yeah. And that's not to say, because you don't have to be perfect to be able to have power over evil spirits, but you need to at least have a faith, right? Have a belief. And I think there's definitely, and we'll get into that more for sure.
So our core beliefs as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is we believe that after we die, we go to a realm or a place called the spirit world. And we believe that it's just here on earth. And so...
Yeah, it's in a way like parallel to Earth.
Yeah. Where
the Earth itself has a spirit, and that spirit is in a way the spirit world itself. And which is, interesting considering, comparison to other beliefs, right? We believe other beliefs tend to believe when you pass on, you then proceed to like the judgment and then to whatever version of heaven or hell that kind of they believe exists, and you pass on from this life, from this world. That, and then the association with whatever like ghosts or spirits exist in this world is either they're the evil spirits or it's a spirit of somebody who has unfinished business, which is kind of funny to think about, that like, that somebody would essentially, some Christian person believes that the spirit here is someone with unfinished business, and their business is more important than God's judgment, which is supposed to happen when they die. So it kind of doesn't quite make sense, but I think the idea that the spirit world is here just lines up with so much of what actually happens out there in the world. That not only are there bad spirits around us, we believe Satan and his angels are here to tempt us and try us, but we all, your ancestors are here amongst you. They are here to support you and uplift you. So it's like, it's not just this negative aspect of the spirit world around us, but you have good people surrounding you, seeking your victories. Yeah,
exactly. Catholics, they believe in a purgatory. So
there's a semblance of that.
But a lot of Christians, I believe, they believe like a demon is something completely different than like a spirit or even angels. They're like completely separate from God's children.
I guess in a way that'd be something good to clarify. Is spirit? Well, we believe that God, or kind of going way back into the pre-existence, before we came to Earth, before any of humanity came to Earth, everyone existed as spirits. That was including Satan and his followers, God's children, and Satan rebelled against God and was cast down to Earth with his followers. And then those of us who are born on Earth are the ones that chose to follow Christ in the pre-existence. And so they're in the same way we all existed as God's spirit children, even Satan and his followers. They just rebelled and chose a different path, which led them to Earth as spirits instead of with bodies. And so they're essentially fallen angels, in a way, demons. But at some point we were all angels, you could say. So exactly. And so exactly like we said, and kind of what we talked about in our previous episodes, kind of about spirits and everything. Everything has been created in a spiritual form before it was created physically. And so the spirit world has been created, and that's where we go after we die. And that's where everybody's gone after we die. And we will be there until Christ comes again. And so... waiting judgment in a way. It's I think one of the other relations to other Christian beliefs is the spirit world is in a way the personificate, or the the comparison to heaven and hell that most of the times is the scriptures reference, is that the spirit world itself is divided in a way between a heaven and a hell, a paradise and a prison. And whenever the scriptures tend to talk about when somebody passes on and they end up in heaven or hell, it's referencing the fact that if they're in a spirit paradise or prison, which It's
like
not
when
so
Christ
much
said to the thief or the guy on the cross next to him, "I'll meet you in paradise." Yeah,
yeah, exactly. That, and it's not so much like a physical separation of the spirits, because we believe, there's intermingling. The spirits in paradise are interacting with the spirits in prison. It's more of a personal separation where each individual, as they live their life, they come, when they pass on, their whole life is exposed before them. And then in that moment, they kind of set themselves in one or the other, whether they followed Christ or not. And in a way, it becomes, obviously, if you lived a horrible life, you will be in like almost a spiritual hell.
Yeah.
Where you.
So, yeah, it almost seems like, and this is kind of what I believe, it's not really clarified in our doctrine, but I believe everybody will kind of have their own form of paradise and their own form of prison. It's just like a matter of like what level of prison or, hell versus like paradise or heaven that you'll have in the spirit world.
Yeah, I can see that. Because people lived different types of lives, and obviously people are going to be burdened with different things for sure.
Yeah,
or unburdened because of how they lived.
One thing that I've heard is that after you die, you lose your physical body, but you don't lose your physical temptations. And so that's part of like, say if you're like addicted to porn, that's like a temptation that you'll still have. Or any kind of substance,
yeah.
Yeah.
As a spirit, you won't be able to obtain that substance or satisfy that whatever
gratification of giving into that temptation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then in a way you are imprisoned because you can't satisfy. And as a spirit, everything is magnified. I think some of the description of the spirit world talk about it being like a brighter place, a more vibrant, like all the colors are more vibrant. Yeah. All feelings are magnified. And so you can imagine like somebody, a drug addict, obviously, how somebody goes through withdrawals when trying to get off drugs, how much that could be magnified in the spirit world as a spirit when you literally can't satisfy any semblance of physical gratification through whatever addiction it was. But the great thing about it too is that we have the spirits in prison have the ability to proceed to paradise. They have the ability to unburden themselves, and that goes into the whole baptisms for the dead or work for the dead that we do in our temples, which a lot of people tend to scoff at when they hear it, like, oh, what are you, baptizing dead people? And it's more like, no, we are giving those who lived their lives in a way where they didn't follow Christ, we're giving them the opportunity to accept Christ, after they have died. And we ourselves, in a way, representing them, doing those ordinances for them, since they can't do it for themselves.
In proxy.
Yeah.
So, it's like, if you believe that God is all loving, he's going to give everybody the opportunity to accept Jesus Christ as their Savior. Yeah. Not just an opportunity, but a perfect opportunity. And so this is his plan. There's certain steps and ordinances that you have to do that God requires. Just universal laws, kind of like what we talked about before, but Christ was the example. You have to be baptized in order to.
Christ paid the price, and so he gets to call the shots on what we do.
And so, if the majority of humanization,
humanity.
Yeah. I don't know what.
Humanization.
The majority of humanity never even heard the word Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah.
You know,
You just
let
think
alone
about
the chance to be baptized.
the amount of people who've died in countries like Asia and Africa, and who Christianity wasn't brought to them in any form till like the modern times, and just I mean, there have been millions and millions, probably billions of people who've passed on through this life without knowing Christ. And I think even more so, you think about, you know, poor, like little children who've died. You know, children, we believe, are completely innocent. You know, they obviously aren't perfect, but they're innocent in their actions up to 8 years old, and is kind of the age of accountability. But even then, you know, a child can't be judged, you know, having lived his life and just to be killed at a young age in some kind of foreign war or something. And you know what, just because that kid didn't know Christ, they're going to be sent to hell. And it's like, no, that doesn't register with a merciful God.
Oh yeah. I mean, could you imagine a God that was like, well, I'm all knowing, I know the future, but screw you people that don't get an opportunity to accept Christ. Yeah, that's not an all-loving God.
That really, the only way that works is if God is like an entity that has no form or appearance, which is like what a lot of Christians tend to believe.
Yeah, no parts or passions.
Yeah, then he's unfilling, and he's just some, and then it, you know, kind of goes to that. You know, is our Creator some kind of alien out there who's just messing with us? And it's like, nah, that doesn't sound good.
That's scary. You know, that's dark for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we could go. We're kind of going on a tangent here. We can go off on this, and we will go into this more in later episodes for sure. But
totally.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention before we get into our spooky stories?
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah. Let's go over this one thing. I think it'll be good to kind of set up for our spooky stories, and then after we talk about our spooky stories, I think we want to talk about like how we can kind of deal with any kind of evil spirits that might be around us, or having some kind of influence in our lives. But recognizing evil spirits. This is one of the things that it's such. When I first heard it, I totally was like, wait, that's a thing that's in there in our scriptures. And in the Doctrine and Covenants, one of the revelations given to Joseph Smith were the keys for determining if administrations are of God. Meaning, like, if a visitation appears to you, how do you know if it's not the devil showing up to you in disguise to try and trick you? And so it's in Doctrine and Covenants 129, verses 1 through 9. And this is like the entire section. But basically it talks about how, you know, there's different kind of visitations. There's resurrected beings who, you know, people who've been resurrected, like, or translated, I guess, like, I think Moses, we believe, is translated. John is translated. Christ is resurrected, obviously, and the three Nephites, and there's probably been a whole bunch of other prophets who've been resurrected, and there are many resurrected after Christ's resurrection. So, people with perfected bodies who've been resurrected, and then there are spirits who are obviously in paradise and who are, you know, given a mission to administer on earth to somebody, to bring a message. And then there are the evil spirits. And it says, when a messenger comes saying he has a message from God, offer him your hand and request him to shake it with you. Which again is like, oh, that's all you do. You just say, hey, give me a handshake, give me a high five. And if it be an angel, he will do so, and you will fill his hand. Somebody resurrected, because they all have a body, right? And the only resurrected people right now are going to be people who've lived holy lives and followed Christ. And then if it be a spirit of a just man made perfect, he will come in his glory, for that is the only way he can appear. He will not offer his hand. So if it's a just spirit, they're just going to come and give you the message. They're not going to try and shake your hand. They're not going to try and deceive you. They're just going to come give the message, because that's what they are assigned to do, and they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And then if it be a devil as an angel of light, when you ask him to shake hands, he will offer you his hand, and you will not feel anything. And you may therefore detect him.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? You're like somebody, a light
like,
comes in your room, and you're like, shake hands. I would be like, oh crap, is this gonna work? And then their hand passes through you. I'd be like, oh crap.
I kind of love that that's in Doctrine and Covenants. It's just kind of a cool section for sure.
Right. Yeah. So it sets everything up for God obviously wants us to be prepared for what things could happen, because Satan is out there to deceive us. And obviously, if God is going to send an angel to give you a message somehow, then you got to be, I guess, aware of how that message could be received. Because it's crazy. In the Book of Mormon, you're given 3 different instances where Satan gets a message across to somebody who then tries to deceive everyone, saying they were given a message from God, right, in some way. Korihor, Nehor, and is it Sherem, I think?
Sounds right.
Yeah, like those 3. And so, and then I think there are some instances in church history where people were said to give in revelation. So setting that up, there's never going to be a good, a good spirit that's going to come and try and deceive you. So knowing that Satan he's going to always be the deceiver. And so there's a way to detect that. Mm-hmm. And I guess now we can get into some spooky stories.
Cool. Yeah. Well, what do you think? Do you want to start? You want me to?
Go ahead. I talked a whole bunch there, so
okay.
Go ahead.
Perfect.
Start us
so
one.
Yeah, I don't even really know where to start.
Oh, I want to preface this too with the fact one of my fondest memories before my mission. I was getting ready to leave, and it was like one of the nights right before I was heading out to the MTC, and Greg was in his room downstairs, and he had gotten back from his mission, been home for a while, but we started talking about it and started reminiscing through some of his photos from his mission, and he was telling some of the spooky stories and the crazy experiences he had, and that just set me on such a high note going out to the mission, ready to have some crazy experiences myself. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Man, I'm a good older brother, huh?
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah.
At least after the mission. But I kind of had a lot of crazy things happen. It's hard to remember them all, but there's a few that really stick out. I served in an area that it was in Illinois, and in the middle of nowhere, there's this place called Ashmore Estates. It's kind of by Charleston and Mattoon area, in between Charleston and Paris, Illinois. And I guess it's ranked as the most haunted place in Illinois. And it's the coolest thing. There was a member that owns it. He bought it and he turned it into a haunted house. And so he does a haunted house there every year.
That is so funny.
Brother Kelly, he was a crazy guy, but he was so cool. And so for
literally just bought a haunted house. And known to be haunted for a number of different reasons, right?
Oh yeah. We did a tour of it as a district P day, which is our day off as missionaries, you could say. It's called Preparation Day.
More of a play day, but
laundry, email our families, but sometimes we do activities like this where we get together as a bunch of missionaries, and he took us through this abandoned estate, and what it used to be was they called it like a farm a farmhouse or something like that.
A farmstead or
Yeah.
something like that?
Not a farmhouse, but something farm. Essentially, it was like an insane asylum.
Oh,
Like
really?
Not quite an insane asylum, but back then it was kind of a place they would send mentally challenged or, you know,
The crazy house,
Yeah.
the loony bin.
yeah, people that just didn't want to deal with their challenged, you know, mentally challenged family members, so they'd send them to this place. And there's not a clear
That would
record.
be crazy to look into more of that history, because I'm sure
Yeah.
it's got to be like on the National Register, I'm sure, or something.
He said he found the graveyard
Oh, no
of
way.
all the patients.
Oh, my gosh.
So at some point, he said it lost its funding, and they either locked all the patients in and burnt the place down,
Oh, my gosh.
or I mean, it's a brick structure, so it didn't burn down, but they burned it. Or
Usually
just
they
locked
did
them in.
like destroy those buildings as
Yeah.
soon as they like lost funding. They usually tore them down, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, or they either burned it or locked them in and just let them starve to death and just abandoned it.
Jesus.
So-
yeah, it's definitely going to be some
Something
haunting
crazy. And yeah, he said he found all the graves and he found the records for the graves and everything. But when he bought it, he was told about there was 3 or 4 ghosts that haunt it.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't hear it because I got my headphones on. So we're all good.
It's all locked, right?
Yeah. I only remember 3 of the ghosts. One of them was, I guess, like a game warden or maintenance guy. And apparently he wore like a top hat. And there's records of this guy. And so he and Brother Kelly actually said he saw him. So at one point he was in this place. If you want to go check out my channel on TikTok or YouTube, it's called Old Outdoor Greg. I posted a video of a couple pictures of this place. I actually got some cool pictures, but I'll tell you about them in the story. But anyways, Brother Kelly said he was going down to his... This guy was crazy. He had an office in this haunted house. And so, in the basement...
Some people just handle that spook stuff so well, and it's like, powers to them. They must have a resilience that I don't.
Yeah. Well, he goes down into this basement, and it's like a long hall with like doors, for different like rooms and stuff. He said he was walking down and he looks down the hall and he sees a head pop out of one of the doors with a top hat, pop out and go back in. And then he's just like, okay. And just went about his day.
There we go. Get things to do.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's one guy. Apparently he's like not like particularly an evil spirit. He kind of is just dwells there, just kind of.
Yeah. That is an interesting thing with spirits, considering, like you said, there seems to be degrees of people who are in the spirit world who are maybe in prison. Maybe not so much they're evil or malicious, but they, could be existing somewhere just out of habit.
Right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's one of them. Another one is this woman. I guess she's rarely seen, but I got a picture of her in my photo.
I remember that one.
It's not super clear, but I think there's a pretty clear image of her face. So, yeah, in the photo, we're taking a bunch of pictures, and I took a picture of the outside of the building, and the window is in the picture, in the frame, but you have to zoom all the way in, and you kind of see
this is back with the digital camera, right?
Yeah. You have to zoom all the way in, but you see just this kind of white face in like the darkness. really creepy. But yeah, go check out that video. I can't really explain what it looks like. You'll just have to go see it.
I feel like I remember you telling me that when he showed the member the picture, he said something about that person was particular to that room or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So that, I guess it's a woman that is rarely seen. She's more felt, I guess, and she stays in that room. So like anytime there's people that have gone in that room and they felt like touching on their shoulders or like rubbing on their arm or something like that. But kind of, just another like not particular evil, but just dwells there.
Yeah.
But I guess the last one is like a child spirit that people see from the freeway or the highway. So there's a highway that drives by this place, and it's it's a good 300 yards off the highway. But apparently all the time people will drive by and see this little boy up in the window, and they'll drive over and be like, there's a kid in there, and he's like, gosh. Oh no, don't worry about it, it's nothing.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So but it's definitely interesting, and I guess that's something we didn't mention about spirits, is we believe that spirits take the form of an adult.
Yeah, they're essentially every spirit is a full-grown spirit person. Because like we are spirit children of God, and God before this life did raise us as His spirit children to spirit adulthood. Yeah. Which that is something I've always wondered about, because you frequently hear of spirits appearing as children, and I think what I came across about that, like in my researching about maybe if there was anything said by any like prophets or apostles, and I think like what I came to, and I don't know if any direct quotes, but it obviously Satan and his spirits would seek to deceive us and like scare us and use like obviously the appearance of a child, which we believe in the purity and innocence of children, but and using that would corrupt that image, which obviously Satan would love to do, corrupt any kind of image of purity by using a child to haunt something. And spirits can take on appearances of things because of the powers of a spirit, I guess.
I mean, it's kind of like, where do they get the word demon from? And like the devil, the way they describe the devil and all that. So it's definitely it seems like they have the capability of appearing as like different forms in a way to either deceive or cause fear.
That goes into a lot of my stories.
So I won't go on to much more about it, but really like the cool thing about it is Brother Kelly said he dedicated it and he didn't have any sightings since. And
well, being like a place he essentially owns, he has that ability to dedicate it.
So when we went through it, like there was only one point where I felt uneasy, and that was down in this cellar. That was so creepy. I'm getting chills just remembering the feeling I get. And like in my video, I have a picture of that, which I have two pictures, and one of them has some weird like blobs in it, which I have no idea what that means or what it is.
Orbs.
Yeah. And so that was the creepiest room, but everywhere else didn't feel like evil presence or anything like that. But that was cool. That was just a cool thing. Not really an experience, but go check out Old Outdoor Greg. I'm telling you, it's a pretty cool video. Some pretty cool pictures. But why don't you tell a story, Geoff?
Oh yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh man, I'm like got some crazy ones. So I'm gonna group a couple stories. So in my mission, I served in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that, I mean, if you know anything about New Mexico, it is prevalent with skinwalker stories. It's the Navajo settled in that area, and it just became kind of like their region. And there's a lot of reservations. There's a lot of old Pueblos and ancestral Puebloan ancestors. The Acoma, the Zuni, the Taos, and just, a lot of Native American associated stories. And so, of course, when you engage in, stories about skinwalkers, which skinwalker is essentially, it's like a shaman or like a spirit.
Like a witch.
That kind of, takes on the appearance of an animal and the abilities of an animal through like some ritual, a sacrifice, and so usually it's very violent and painful imagery. And then they take on that appearance, and then they proceed to go about their evil activities using this animal form and spirit as like a disguise. Usually, it seems like a dog or a bird or a cat or some kind of animal. The story that went around my mission, the mission, what do you call it? Mission fairy tales or urban legends. Was of some elders who they were engaging with this individual, and he proceeded to like put his hand on their chest, and then went about, and like it was a Native American man, and they first thought he might be like a homeless person or something, but put his hand on their chest and proceeded to like recite their patriarchal blessings. And then of course the elders are getting freaked out about this, and this guy starts spouting off about demons and everything, and they proceed to this goes into like how we can defend ourselves from evil spirits. They raised their arm to the square and tried to banish him in the name of Christ. And they said the story is that he laughed, and as he was leaving, he disappeared, and like this cat just runs off. And so that was kind of the story that went around, and obviously different versions. Like there were so many different variables of it. There's ones where the guy was in their apartment and he did all of that. There was one where he was on the street or they were on the reservation. So definitely one of those urban legends, right? That kind of gets shared around, but then who knows how it actually came about. If I guess there are any fellow Albuquerque missionaries out there who actually know the real story, you could hit us up.
Send us an email.
Get us the truth on that. What actually happened?
Let's see. Starbase Collab at gmail.com.
Starbase Collab at gmail.com. Probably sounds right.
I'll look at it. Yep. StarbaseCollab at gmail.com. Email us.
There we go. So, but then this next story that kind of ties into it. This one, I have a little more faith in, just because it happened to one of my good friends in the mission he was serving on the reservation at the time, and I can't remember exactly which one. It might have been the Alamo Reservation, and I can't remember exactly, but I don't know if there's an Alamo Reservation. It's been a minute. So on the reservation, the elders usually live on the church property or just right off the church property, because there's a lot of rules, a lot of restrictions when it comes to preaching on the reservations or the pueblos, and they usually live in like a dinky fifth wheel trailer. I mean, these things are like it's a life, or it's a service. You gotta live somewhere, right? And so they're sleeping in a little trailer.
A lot of times they don't find us the most comfortable place, but probably the most cheapest. It seems like
it's so funny in my mission. I lived in some of the grungiest places and the like superior best places. Like the places I lived in were like the most coveted apartments on the mission. It was so funny.
Oh, all mine were crap. I either lived with members, which was horrible, or a dump.
Yeah. Dump. But so this elder, he was telling me about how they had to sleep with the windows open because there was no air conditioning, and I mean some of those nights get blistering hot, and you're just like feel like you're sleeping in an oven, especially when you're in a reservation. Oh man, that just seems to breed some heat. And so he was telling me how he had the window open and he's laying there with his head kind of by the window and he's getting half asleep, and then all of a sudden he starts to feel this like breath on his hair, and it was like, and he described it as like a horse breathing where they go kind of, and it fluffed his hair, and he's just like, go to sleep, just go to sleep, just go to sleep. And he's so tired, from walking around the whole day, and so he eventually falls asleep. Well, he wakes up and him and his companion, he tells him like, hey, dude, I felt like a horse on my head, and they were in a fenced, like completely fenced off, and like there was like it was probably like 3 to 4 feet high fence, like chain link, and they had a gate, and the gate was locked. They locked it every night, and they go out and they look around, and they're like, okay, the gate's locked, and they go around to where the window is, and they see some hoof prints in the dirt next to the window. And they're just kind of right around the window, and then there's no hoof prints anywhere else. Like not around the gate, not around the fence. And it was the story he shared, and I'm just like, oh gosh.
Could you imagine though if it was just a horse that like hopped the fence and he's just chilling by the window? Oh my gosh.
Somebody's there.
Yeah, that's so creepy.
Right.
But the thing about skinwalkers, they say like all the stories, like they have to be invited in for them to
vampire
make contact.
Style.
Yeah. And the same thing with like spirits or evil spirits like that. It's like unless you're inviting them in, like they can't do anything to you. Yeah.
I think there is importance in authority, right? Like with our homes and even with our spaces, we have, and I think we lose that when we obviously make poor choices. You're kind of inviting some of that influence in your life, which was why we have one of the most impactful parts in the temple video, and it's kind of the new temple video, is there's a section where like Satan kind of turns the camera, and I think I can share this, but it's obviously the temple videos are very sacred, and most of the stuff in it is not meant to be shared outside of the temple, but this is kind of one of those things that you really can find it in the scriptures if you look enough. But Satan turns to the camera and basically threatens you for going through the temple. Says, if you break any of these covenants you made, then you will be within my power. And sounds very intense, like like if I do anything wrong, Satan's gonna have all this power over me. But then one of the messengers from God, he banishes Satan, and then he turns to the camera and says, you will make mistakes. It's bound to happen, but that is why we have Christ, and because of Christ, what he did for you, you can always come back. And it's just like immediately you feel just a completely different spirit, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, no matter what you do in your life, Christ is always there to bring you back. And it's like you just have to be willing to keep coming back to Christ. It's your choice.
Yeah. And I think that's the goal of Satan, is he wants you to feel like you can't come back.
Oh yeah.
Like he's got you in his power. Yeah,
he's going to weigh you down. He's going to make you feel miserable and sorry and sad, and he'll do that any way he can, whether it's scaring you or manipulating your mind in any kind of way.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, skinwalkers. I've taken a deep dive into Skinwalker Ranch and Skinwalkers, so I love Skinwalker stories. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But
That's fun stuff. It's pretty wild.
I'll tell two, a really short one. This was my first area, and I was a greenie, didn't know what was going on, and it was like we were knocking doors. My companion was just as intense as you can get. Like
that's like your trainer is either going to be uber intense or just like the most laid back, unresponsible missionary ever.
Yeah, mine was like intense, but times it by like 100. But yeah, we were knocking doors at night when it was dark, and it's just like, what are we doing here, dude? Nobody wants to answer the door. It's dark.
Yeah,
but
you learn quickly. There's times to knock and times not to knock.
Yeah, exactly. But we knocked on this door, and this old lady answers the door, and man, I look back at this, and I am so like shaken. Like we were talking with her, and we're just like, yeah, we're missionaries from the church and blah, blah, blah. Like, we'd like to share a message with you. And she's like, oh, you want to find out what happened in the beginning? And she's like, he knows everything. He knows what happened in the beginning. And there's this dude, and I swear he was probably like 6'8". And it was like their house was dark. And so I couldn't see his face. And he had long hair.
Oh my God.
And he's standing there kind of like so like what's the word? Just like so creepy. Just standing in the
there
dark.
Menacingly.
Yeah. Like, and my companion, he was just like, oh, that's okay. We'll see you later. He's like, no,
I'm out.
We gotta go. Thank you anyways. And so he just starts taking off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was that about? And he's like, Elder, I just felt such an evil spirit from that. We gotta get out of there.
Yeah.
So that's all that happened there. It was just creepy. But
oh my gosh,
could have been just nothing.
I got one that relates to that, very similar. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
But yeah. Oh, you want me to tell my?
Oh, go for it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So this is later on in my mission. I go to this area, and we have this whole house to ourselves. And I mean, it's just it's an older house. It's literally a square, and they have like square rooms, 4 rooms. There's this upstairs that's in an attic type space, and then a creepy basement. And ever since like I went into this house, I felt uneasy, especially in the upstairs. Like the upstairs, such a creepy feeling. I think the first thing that happened is we were coming back from like a zone conference, and I've got to preface it with this. My companion also had insomnia.
Oh yeah,
and so that story. He didn't sleep. And I would wake up in the middle of the night and roll over, and he'd be staring at me. I'd look over at him, he'd be like, what's up? I'm like, hey. And then I roll back over, I'm like, oh, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. So that's my companion. And Elder Bowling, I love you, but you're crazy. So I had a crazy companion, and I'm living in this haunted house. And the first thing that happened is we're coming back from zone conference, which is a little meeting we have as missionaries, and so we were a bus and bike area, so we didn't have a car. And the missionaries that had a car were dropping us off. And we get out, and I look up, and there's this little window that's the only window up into the upstairs. And I swear I see a silhouette.
Oh, jeez.
Just a dark silhouette.
Yeah.
And like it's there and gone, like instantly. And who knows? It could have just been a trick of my mind or the eyes. But I'm like terrified, you know. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I like grab the other mission. Like, you're not leaving yet. We have to sweep the house. We have to make sure there's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
So we all go in. I grab like a cane. And
There's another one that mirrors a moment in my mission too. Yeah.
Oh, this is just the beginning of this house, though. So I grab a cane. The other missionaries grab some stuff, and we're going
whatever weapon you can.
Yeah, room from room, sweeping it, and nothing. There's just nothing. And like, I'm like begging the other missionary. I'm like, please stay, sleep the night, please don't leave.
You're not going
anywhere.
anywhere.
Like, we can't. We have an early morning appointment. We can't. It's like, okay, fine.
With your insomniac companion.
Yeah. So
Oh my gosh.
Nothing happened
so
from
funny.
that. It was just really creepy.
Spooky.
But later on, we actually had some other missionaries move in with us. Their apartment was something going on with their apartment where they had to temporarily move in with us, and they moved upstairs. So they moved their beds and stuff upstairs. And
Oh man.
a pretty common thing in our mission was to tell ghost stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were telling ghost stories late one night, and then it's like 10:30, and we're like, okay, we gotta go to bed. And the two missionaries go upstairs, and they're freaked out though. So they're yelling down to me. They're like, "Elder Kroll, come up here. We're scared." And I'm like the district leader, and so I'm like, "Oh, elders, you gotta go to sleep." And I go up
past your bedtime.
Yeah, I go up there, and my creep of a companion, like not on purpose, he sneaks up behind me. And I mean these stairs too. You just gotta imagine this narrow, winding staircase up to this creepy attic upstairs. And I'm standing in the doorway, and I look behind me, and he's right there. And I'm like, whoa! And I jump into the room, pretty much in between.
Oh my gosh!
Their beds, and we're all just like, we laughed, and then it's like silent, and we're staring at each other. And I'm not kidding you, the lamp light bulb flashes and explodes. It goes, whoopsh, and it's dark.
You all slept in the same room that night.
We all book it downstairs. The two elders living with us grabbed their beds and they threw them downstairs. We all pile in this one room, and we're sleeping in there. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
We were terrified. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. And
gosh.
Let's see. A few other little things happen here and there, but the last thing I'll say is I was on transfers. It's where we swap companions for a day just to kind of check up on each other.
Yeah.
Give each other a break from our companions and stuff. But
sometimes a well-needed break. Yeah.
Yeah. I was with like a really cool dude, Elder Watkins. Shout out. Yeah, and we got to telling ghost stories again.
It always begins with the ghost stories.
We were both creeped out, and I had this thought. We never dedicated the house that we were living in, and so we literally dedicated the house.
Oh, I remember this one. Yeah,
and it's funny because the missionaries that were living with us, they are Spanish speaking. We call them Spanish speaking elders. And
elders.
Yeah, one of them was Hispanic, and he told me about how Hispanics have superstitions about evil spirits and stuff like that. And so they'll always leave like a window ajar so the spirits can leave. So kind of jokingly, after I say a prayer to dedicate the house, I'm like, okay, let's let the spirits out. And I go and open the door, and a gust of wind from inside the house blows by Elder Watkins, which he was in the middle of the room, and then blows by me.
Gosh.
Literally almost pushes the door out of my hand. This gust of wind just, and for a good at least like 5, 6, 7 seconds. Like,
oh man,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm holding the door, and then I shut it, and I just look at Elder Watkins, and I'm like, holy crap. And like, literally after that, nothing happened.
Man.
Like, there was no other experiences or anything like that. So,
Dang.
just kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think the whole Midwest is haunted. Everyone's living with some spirits there.
Yeah, definitely some dwellers out there.
Dang, that is crazy. Whew, yeah. Well, even then, like, you go out Midwest, and with how flat it is, it just feels eerie. It's just like there's no. I mean, grew up in Utah, and you have mountains like on every side of you, almost at all times.
Feel like you're going to fall off like the edge of the earth.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
When I was out there, like a couple months ago, it felt like there was just like this. Yeah, endless void, and I swear I kept hallucinating mountains. And then I'd look, and there'd be nothing there. I'm just like, oh gosh, just an uneasy feeling, kind of weird. But
oh yeah.
So my 2 stories that relate to that. So this one, I wouldn't say it's so much like I mean, there are definitely some bad spirits in there, just because of they're like not, things are going really bad. So. There was this. I was serving in a singles ward in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Yeah, and these are wards with like young single adults from like the age of 18 to now 35.
Yeah, kind of a way to get kids out of the house into like an area where they can mingle with people their age.
Yeah, good way to socialize and stuff.
So. And this was one of my favorite places. Absolute crazy town, Las Cruces, and just the amount of experiences there. I could write a whole book. It was just insane, wild place. And there was we had this point where we were in our third meeting of the day. So church used to be organized with. You had a sacrament meeting, which was kind of like a big congregation meeting. Then you had like we call it Sunday school, where you had a little class to learn about the gospel in some ways. And then you had a priesthood relief society where like the men and women split up, and we go to our kind of respective classes. And that way, men can mingle and talk about how to be better men. Women can mingle and talk about how men can be better. And so we're in the priesthood section, and this guy comes like walking in, and he's like looking around like he's looking for someone, and my companion like signals him over, and he comes to sit with us, and he's like, oh, the ladies told me come into this room and meet you guys. And we're like, oh great, yeah. And we're trying to like listen to the lesson and kind of interact with them a little bit. And we also had this other member sitting right next to us, and he was a really chill guy, but he had this watch on, and the stranger who just came in, he's very bouncy, he's got all this kind of energy in him, and he's like, hey man, nice watch, and he's, oh thanks. He's like, yeah, cool. And then he just like starts looking forward, like straight ahead, like he wasn't even in that conversation, and he's just kind of bouncing still. And then like he's listening to the people talk, and we're sitting there, and the stranger, he just suddenly like stops bouncing, and he looks at his hands, like holds them open like they're covered in something, and then he starts to like form like a kamehameha or something, like in his hand. He's like twisting them around. Yeah. And then he like puts them face down and just like and just lowers him on his knees. And then he goes back to bouncing.
Oh my gosh.
And we're like, okay, there's something weird here, but we're desperate to teach as missionaries, so we're like, yeah, get to know this guy. And we walk out with him, and as we're leaving, because this was like the last part of church for the day, and we're kind of getting to know him, and we're like, hey, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm totally looking for some Jesus in my life, and I just felt like coming here, felt like this was the place to be. And we're like, yeah, this is totally the place to be. And we got his contact stuff, and went to and made an appointment to visit him again at his place, and teach us some more. And events proceed, and we're kind of like figuring out, like, or we tried to visit him a couple times, and we missed him like every single time, like he wasn't there. And there was one evening we were out with another member, and we just suddenly like, hey, let's go check out this guy. And we get to his place, and or who was it that answered the door? It must have been like I think it was his brother. He was leaving. So, and we're like, hey, is this guy here? And he's like, oh yeah, he's inside. Go ahead and knock on the door. And knock on the door. And he answers, and we're like, hey, how's it going? Can we visit with you right now? And he's like, oh yeah, invites us in. And we come in, and the first weird thing, it's a super like low lit, like, just like a couple filament bulbs, around to just barely give it lighting. And it's very grungy and dark. And there was like some cologne bottles like in the middle of this like what's the footrest thing in the between
Ottoman.
Ottoman, yeah, in the middle of this ottoman. And the first thing that really threw us off was a giant painting of Christ, like, and it was the red robe painting that you see in all the churches. And we're like, hey, nice painting. And like, cool, he's already got some, it's very typical of LDS churches to have that painting too. That's kind of our like the signature Christ painting you see in most places. Well, I'd say it used to be. Now it's kind of lost its popularity, but not used as much anymore. But so we sit down, we talk, and then like off to the side, like down this hallway, we see this like silhouette like appear in the hall, and I was like off in the corner, so I could barely see it. And we're talking with this guy, and then the members, like, he's kind of like looking over, and he's like, hey, do you want to come join us? And it was this little old lady, and she just like nods and comes and like scoots in and sits down next to him. And I guess it was his mom. But like, it was weird because periodically as we were trying to teach, they would grab the cologne bottles and just go and just like give him a huge sniff. And something's going on. And so we're talking to him, and then he starts to kind of go off on a bunch of stories. We're trying to, and one of the big trials as a missionary is like actually trying to get a lesson in before somebody interrupts you with some random story that has no bearing on what you're talking about. But so he starts going on about how he's like, oh yeah, I've been to your church before. And we're like, really? He's like, yeah. I went in there and I helped set up some chairs and I played some basketball. And we're like, oh, he must have gone to like one of the events, like one of the singles events that they had. Because they always have like during the week, they'd have like some kind of singles activity where all the single members could invite friends and like mingle, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I went up to the podium and I gave a speech and everyone applauded. And we're like, he went and gave a talk. Like, what's going on? Like, everyone applauded. Like, because we don't really give speeches and expect applause. Like, that's very we don't applaud in our chapels. Like, we give them very reverent, very sacred, solemn places. And then he's like, yeah, and then I went into the kitchen and I got some milk and there was chocolate. I made some chocolate milk, man. It was the best thing ever. And we're like, dang, you had a good time there. All right. And, they always have food at singles events. So I'm like, okay, must have had some chocolate milk or something there. And again, we're like serving that area, but we don't remember like any activities. So we're like thinking maybe this was some time ago, not sure what happened. Like maybe he did this a while back, but, and then it started to get really weird where he's like, oh man, I have all the dialogue written down in my journal because I had to write it that night when it was fresh in my brain.
Yeah.
But basically, it came down to he started getting into a discussion about like the devil and he's like, yeah, man, the devil has no place. He's like, and I had a dream once. The Jesus appeared to me and he pointed to me and said, "You are Jesus." And I was like, "I'm Jesus." And at this point, I'm like, all right, we got to get out of here. We're done. We're not getting anywhere with this thing. And so we kind of split at that point. And then the member turns to me and turns to me and my companion, and he's like, they were all on cocaine, no doubt. And this guy, he served in Peru. He was an awesome member, awesome guy. But he served in Peru, so I was like, yeah, he probably knows what he's talking about. But
or they are high from huffing the cologne.
Well, I think what made him think that was when you take cocaine, it messes up with your sinuses, and you get this irresistible urge to like smell something strong, and so that's why they had the cologne there, because it was like to satisfy that urge to because their capillaries are all like messed up.
Yeah, well, probably wasn't cocaine. It was probably meth.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, there was some nasty stuff going on.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sketchy stuff there. But so and here's like the punchline to the whole story. So the next day, me and my companion are kind of finishing up, and we went to the church because we were the zone leaders. We kind of managed the whole zone area, and we took care of a lot of other responsibilities around the church and stuff. And so we went to go check out the church and kind of lock things up and take care of some stuff. And this, I think it was a couple of days right after we had visited with him. Uh-huh. But we get in there, and we first walk into the gym, and there's a basketball. Yeah. And the great thing about all our churches, they got basketball courts. It's something sacred about the hoop and the ball. But
yep, the cultural hall.
Yeah, the cultural hall. And so we see a basketball, and we're like, oh, there's a basketball in here. That's kind of out of the ordinary. Normally, they always clean them up, or people take home their basketballs when they're done. And then we look over, and the cultural hall, the basketball area, kind of connects to the chapel. To extend the area if we need to put up more chairs or something. And the chairs that extended into the cultural hall, I swear to you, they were arranged so precisely. And it was weird because they weren't arranged in a way like people could sit in it, because they were it was probably less than a foot of space between the chairs in front of them.
Not normal setup.
Yeah. I mean, ranged so precisely though. You could take a ruler and it would be the equal spacing between everything. And so we're starting to get a little, weirded out, what is going on here? Remembering the stranger story. And then we went to the kitchen, because we were starting to get real suspicious at this point. And I'm like, Elder, there's no way that there is milk and then some chocolate in this fridge. I open it up, and there's a gallon of milk with a cup's worth of milk gone from it and some chocolate syrup.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And so we're thinking, okay, he was in here, but there wasn't an activity at all between he coming to church and us visiting with him. And so we're kind of freaking out, and we lock up everything, we get out of there. And this puts the pin in it all. We then get a message from the bishopric, the people about, hey, elders, you guys need to make sure the church is locked up when you guys are done here. And we're like, oh, we lock up every night. We check every door. Yeah. And they're like, oh, somebody didn't lock the building because we're missing a painting. We're missing a painting of Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh.
Me and my companion look at each other, and we're like,
we know where that painting is.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh
Total.
my gosh.
And then I think connecting to your whole ghost stories moment. So this one didn't happen to me, but so the same member who helped us with this stranger guy, this crazy guy, he was telling us a story about, and kind of it was a little bit of a warning to us just not to like get into it too much. It was telling ghost stories.
Yeah.
And I will say,
it's definitely something that was not encouraged. But for some reason, missionaries act like they're untouchable. And I mean, I did the same. Like, I was literally playing ultimate frisbee in a lightning storm. Lightning was like striking, so close to us, but we didn't care because, we just felt so untouchable.
Well, you're young and you're,
serving the Lord. We're protected.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you definitely. I mean, you kind of learn you got to be careful because stuff can happen. And I will say, sure, as a missionary, even though you are protected to an extent, you are also at risk of more like severity because of, I think, the mantle that you have. Because Satan's looking to destroy you at any angle. Yeah. But he was telling us a story because he went to the Peruvian MTC. And him and just all the missionaries amongst him were swapping ghost stories, and just telling a whole bunch. And it was like just in their rooms, like they'd never really talked about it outside of it. And then all of a sudden, the mission president of the MTC comes up and invites them all to like come with him, and they go to like the big security room that had all the like security camera setups with all like the monitors, and they're all like, why are we here? This is kind of weird. And he sits them down and he looks at all of them and he says, "Are you guys telling ghost stories?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You need to stop now." And like all seriousness, starts pulling up videos, and like the MTCs, they have these like big walkways between the buildings, and it was like nighttime. The camera was on this walkway, and there was a light, and the light like flickers, and you just see the silhouette appear at the end of the walkway. Ooh. Just kind of like walk in and stand there, and then like the light kind of flickers again, and it's gone. Yeah, and then he shows another one, and it was a camera on the bathrooms. And then there was like a light in the women's restroom as you kind of like, you're going into it and it's going around a corner. And then all of a sudden, and this is nighttime. Like everyone's supposed to be in their rooms. It's probably all locked up, right? Like in the MTC, you have to have like a card to get to anything. Yeah. And I mean, they usually keep it locked down pretty tight, security and whatnot. And especially in other countries, I imagine they keep things pretty secure. But this nighttime, everyone's supposed to be in their rooms, and like and the camera shows like everyone's left the restroom already, and so but on the camera you just see this silhouette, and it was like a girl like figure like appear, and you could see the shadow and like kind of lean around and then like lean back. And again, nobody leaves the restroom or goes in since then, other than in the morning the next day. Yeah. And so he's like, "Yeah, you guys need to stop telling stories." Jeez. And so, obviously, I think there can be fun in it, but it's also, understanding kind of the respectfulness you gotta have with this stuff, because it can go from fun to you basically are inviting these spirits to come and be around you, and even like an MTC is meant to be a very sacred, dedicated place, and even then when you don't, and when the respect can be lost, and especially telling ghost stories and being unrighteous or whatever, it's a bunch of boys and in a building,
young men, like 18, 19-year-olds
gonna be idiots in some way or another, and so even then a space like that can be affected, and again, Satan's gonna do everything he can to scare you and deceive you, and so pretty crazy story. But that kind of in my mission, I really tried to. I was always excited to hear kind of some spooky story, but then I always tried to kind of refrain to. After that, I was like, okay, I gotta be a little more careful here.
You always kind of left feeling icky, just uneasy, but you always gotta invite the good, the spirit, and doing that definitely does not invite it, for sure. But that kind of leads me into my next one is, in a way, I feel like Satan was kind of trying to hinder me. This area. We were living in an apartment that had black mold in the floors and in the basement and stuff. And both me and my companion got like pretty sick from it.
Oh yeah.
And we ended up having to move in to this member's basement, just temporarily until we got a new apartment. And I remember we had like a really important appointment the next day. We were like so excited. It was a potential investigator, somebody looking at joining the church, and anytime that happens, we get excited and we're very happy about it. Just a normal night, trying to go to sleep, and I'm just laying there on my back with my eyes closed, just about to go out, and it felt like someone leaned over me and got like this close to my mouth, like within inches, and blew in my mouth.
Oh my gosh. And that relates to one of mine now.
And I bolt up awake.
Oh my gosh.
And I feel like, and it could have just been, now that I look back, it could have just been my eyes playing tricks. But, we're in a almost, super dark room. It felt like I look up and I see a silhouette like at the foot of my bed. And so, I'm like almost out. So I'm like kind of waking up from sleep, and I'm like, oh my gosh, rubbing my eyes to try and see. And like,
what is it?
As I rub my eyes,
going on?
It just like goes away. And I gotta tell you, that had to have been the longest walk of my life, to walk over to the light switch. And my companion's like dead out. I turn on the light.
That's when you wish you had the insomniac companion.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I walk over and switch on the light, and doesn't wake him up. And like I probably literally sat there for like 2 or 3 hours just with the light on, trying to calm down.
Yeah, you gotta have the light on at that point. You're just like, okay, happy thoughts.
Exactly. But from what I remember, didn't hinder us at all. Like, we went and had a great appointment, and good things came of it. It just kind of reminds me of like the account of Joseph Smith's first vision. When right as he begins to pray, he's attacked by a dark spirit, trying to stop him from praying
quite viciously.
Yeah. And you think about it, like you can be skeptical about the church and everything, but this makes so much sense to me. If God is going to bring to pass his plan of a restoration, Satan would do everything he can to stop that. And so if he gave an account where nothing happened, it almost would be less believable in a way.
Well, it would again, so much of what Joseph Smith did and revealed and talked about, it doesn't line up with what the mainstream like Christian idea was of like a vision or revelation. It lines up so much more with like almost the real aspect of it, right? Like you said, Satan would seek to hinder it and stop it in any way possible, when like the idea of like a revelation then probably would have just been angels came to me and told me to do this kind of thing. But like, yeah, then to say like, oh no, I was attacked by an evil spirit, and the only thing that drove it off was calling upon God, and then God himself, appearing to me. It's like, well, this guy obviously had something happen to him.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh yeah. My story that kind of relates to that is, it was in El Paso. Funny enough, we were sleeping with the windows open because we had no AC, and it was
man.
El Paso was even worse than New Mexico because, I mean, it's just worse in so many ways, but so hot at night, and so I'm sleeping with
probably
right next to the window.
Humid.
Yeah, and trying to get a breeze, and I was at the point where I was like half asleep, and I mean, I tell you, that freaked me out so much. And my companion sleep talked, which I'd kind of gotten used to. There were some weird things with that, but I mean, we were like kind of on opposites of each other. So he was like on one wall, I was on the wall by the window.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, and funny enough, our windows didn't have any screens or anything, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, maybe it did. And even then, still an open window. And we had a little carport, so that led right up to my window. So carport, and it was easy enough to climb on the carport. Just climb on the truck, get on the carport.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, we're like, in the small town outskirts of El Paso, by the border, but still,
feeling invincible as a missionary.
Feeling invincible, yeah. And then all of a sudden, as I'm like half asleep, I just hear right next to my ear, "Hey!" And I bolt awake. I'm looking around, like expecting somebody to be in my window, like right next to the bed, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, go over to my companion. I'm like, Elder, wake up. and I tell you, we scoured that house again, weapons in hand.
Yeah.
and we ended up pushing the couch in front of the door and like closing our windows. I'm like, we're going to have to sleep with the windows closed.
Doesn't matter how hot we get.
Yeah. Oh man, that was probably one of the moments of my mission I really felt like just scared it can be in a moment. Like, again, some crazy places I went to with crazy people, but in that moment, again, I don't know what it was at all, but it was so weird.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out, was that my dream? Was that me falling asleep? Did I say hey myself?
Yeah.
The fact that I heard it right next to my ear, and it was like breath on the ear kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just like, all right, well, this is
crazy.
intense. I was like, Elder, let's dedicate this place.
Yeah.
We had a little companionship inventory. Are we living the gospel how we should be? Are we keeping the commandments? Are we being good?
Yeah. Oh man, definitely just some fond memories. Like, we talk about these stories. They're spooky and creepy, and they're a little scary. But ultimately, like, my mission was one of the best things that ever happened to me, for sure. And like Geoff said, like, we felt invincible. Like, I served in East St. Louis, which is literally the most dangerous city in America. It felt like a third world country.
I served on the border from one of the most dangerous cities in the world, Juarez, or El Paso, Juarez.
Man. Yeah, no kidding.
Literally would meet some people who were like either associated with the cartel or opposing the cartel in some way. Yeah.
Dude, watching Sicario,
being hunted by the cartel,
puts a whole new light on how crazy.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Juarez is,
just insane.
But no, our missions, I loved my mission for sure. But yeah, that's probably all the stories I'll tell for tonight. But I have a few more for sure. But those are definitely the kind of the bigger things that happen.
Well, I just think it's funny how many we had that kind of relate to each other in some way. Just
no, it's the theme is like and this is a lot of what the general authorities have been talking about lately. is how important it is to have the Spirit with you, and how important it is
The Spirit,
not
Holy
to chase
Ghost,
it away. Having the Holy Ghost with us. And it's just like moments like that, like you there's no reason to fear, at all, because you are protected. Satan has no power over us. The Holy Ghost is there to protect us. That's as simple as it is. As long as you're doing the right thing, everything will be fine. So.
Oh yeah, I think that kind of leads into a good quote by Joseph Smith. This is in the History of the Church. It says, "Wicked spirits have their bounds, limits, and laws by which they are governed or controlled, and when they transgress those bounds, when they transgress these bounds, the priesthood has power to rebuke them. When a man of God says to an unclean spirit, 'Depart,' it is done. When he says, 'Come out,' it obeys, for it knows him." So, yeah, I think, there's comfort in Christ, right? Obviously, God has given us this world to have experiences in, and we're going to experience some bad, negative, even scary things at times.
Yeah.
But it is, how willing are we to have the Spirit in our lives so we can, when those moments do come, be prepared to face them in the right way? Because, it does make a huge difference on whether or not you get out of that situation, feeling better for yourself, or still feeling like that weight upon you. And that I would say that's one of the crazy things working in archaeology is you're dealing with the remains of people at times, and that can get really not only in a physical and governmental sense, really iffy and sketchy at times, but also in a spiritual way where you can feel the weight of places. Like I went to this one, or during a survey, I came across this rock circle that was right underneath this tree in the shape of a V. And I just had this overwhelming feeling that this place had such a huge spiritual weight to it. And after, I kind of said a little prayer while I was there, just kind of in my mind to kind of, depart from this in peace. But even after that, I swear, when you get those things out of the corner of your eye where you feel like you see something, the rest of the day, I was, I felt like something was coming around me. Whatever, it might have been in that area, there is definitely a weight to places. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Just to kind of leave on a positive note, just always do the best you can to have the Spirit with you. This is a topic I feel like we could go on forever. I wanted to talk about kind of visions of glory.
Oh yeah, me too.
And kind of the experience or the visions he sees of the spirit world with that, but we'll probably have to do that another time.
Yeah,
but
we'll have to.
Yeah, we talked about how we were going to talk about the power of the priesthood this time, but we'll move it to next time. Which it all kind of relates, so we'll touch on what is a spirit as well, but. Tune in next time for sure for the main topic. What is the power of the priesthood? So
awesome. That.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thanks for joining us today. Keep exploring, keep dreaming, but most importantly, keep looking up. Catch you guys later.
Awesome. See you guys.
If you could hide to call up in the twinkling of an eye, and then continue onward with that same speed to fly, do you think that you could ever, through all eternity, find out the generation where gods began to be?